20 years Esau had been waiting, and now today he'd take his revenge. His horsemen were by his side, armed to the teeth with swords and spears and razor-sharp knives. Any minute now, his brother would come round that corner, and when he did, he'd be chopped to pieces, very slowly. Only it wasn't Jacob who came round the corner. It was a sheep, a big, fat, dopey sheep. Then another and another and another, until the whole place was swamped with sheep, thousands of them, bleating and kicking and getting in everyone's way. And behind the sheep came a solitary shepherd. Esau plucked him up by the collar. "What's going on?" he demanded. "They're for you, your worship," said the shepherd. "They're a present from your brother Jacob. He'll be coming round that corner any minute." But it wasn't Jacob who came round the corner. It was a cow, a big, fat, dopey cow. Then another and another and another, till the whole place was swamped with heifers and bullocks and high-yield milkers, hundreds of them. "What's going on?" demanded Esau. "These are for you, your worship," said the cowherd. "They're a present from your brother Jacob. He'll be coming round the corner any minute." But it wasn't Jacob who came round the corner. This time it was camels, then bulls, then chickens, then donkeys, then turkeys. Soon the whole place was overrun with farmyard animals, but still no sign of Jacob. Then people started arriving. First hundreds of slaves, then hundreds of servants, and finally beautiful women, all dressed up to the nines, escorted by haughty young men. Everyone stood there, and no one said a word. Finally, after what seemed an age, a lone figure limped round the corner, looking like he'd just been in a fight and come second. It was Jacob. He stood there, wet, shivering, a big bruise under his left eye. He looked pretty pathetic, really. Suddenly, Esau didn't want to kill him anymore. "What's going on?" he said. "I was just trying to impress you," said Jacob. "You know, little brother comes home, rich, successful, 2 gorgeous wives, lots of presents for his big brother. Pretty dumb, really." "Yeah, pretty dumb," agreed Esau. "I don't need all this stuff. I'm a hunter, not a farmer. I was kind of hoping I might buy some land off you." "Buy some land?" said Esau. "You can't buy land. Who do you think it belongs to? You? The land owns itself, stupid. You live where you like, I don't care." And he turned his horse, and he and his horsemen galloped off into the trees. Suddenly, there was a terrible scream, a thump, and Rachel was lying on the ground. The women rushed round. No one could see what they were doing. No one could see what was going on. There were more cries, buckets of water, shouted instructions. And then a terrible silence. Jacob pushed his way through the women and came out carrying a tiny baby boy. But no one cheered. No one said congratulations. They just waited for what Jacob would say next. "Rachel's dead," he said. Then slowly and ruthlessly, Jacob and his men took over Canaan. They wheeled, they dealed, they built their homes on the ancient hunting grounds. At first Esau didn't care, except that Jacob chopped down all the trees and burnt all the long grass, and the big game moved out. Then Jacob started to plant corn, mile after mile after mile of it. And Esau and his men had to travel further and further afield looking for bears and wolves and lions. And then the aggravation started. There was a fight, and 2 of Esau's men were knifed. Next day, Jacob's crops were burning, and 4 of his men were shot in an ambush. But Jacob had got money now, and money buys weapons. So there were massacres, bloody massacres, and it was always Esau's men who ended up dead. Higher and higher up the mountains he went, until there was nowhere left for him to go. Then he turned his back on Canaan forever and moved into the land of Edom. His brother had beaten him with just a few stupid sheep. But as for Jacob, What the crazy old man had told him all those years ago had come true. He was now a leader, the leader of a brand new nation. It's a pretty small nation, and it probably wouldn't last very long, but at least it was a nation, and they called it Israel. Jacob had always loved Rachel more than anyone else, so when she died, it was her children that he loved best. No one minded about Benjamin. He was just a cute little bundle of wet nappies. But Joseph was different. He was a complete pain. He was bossy, a know-all, a show-off. Jacob just couldn't see it. Isn't Joseph a clever boy, he'd say, top in maths again, and a schoolboy international, and grade 7 oboe, and Canaan junior chess champion? Do you realise I even know what people's dreams mean? Like, for instance, shall I tell you what I dreamt yesterday? It was ever so funny. No thanks, said the brothers. We've got the harvest to finish. But that's exactly it, said Joseph. I dreamt we were all doing the harvest, making these big sheaves of corn, right? And when we finished, all your sheaves sprouted these little arms and legs, and they all started hopping over towards my sheaf, and then they all bowed down in front of it. And guess what it means? But no one was guessing. The brothers just said something rather vulgar and went back to work. What's the matter, Dad? Said Joseph. What did I say? I think they're just a bit jealous, said his father. They probably know about the lovely big present I've got you for your birthday. Would you like it now? Would he just? Joseph tore at the string with his teeth. He clawed at the paper with his hands. And he wasn't disappointed. Inside was his dream present, a complete general's outfit, a beret that sort of went over one eye, big black boots, and best of all, a brand new camouflage jacket with rows of medals on it. Joseph was over the moon. All day long, he went marching around in it. If he'd been 7, no one would have minded, but he was 17 and looked a complete pillock. Look at the amazing colours on my coat, he said to his brother Simeon. Aren't they lovely? Yes, said Simeon. Brown, brown, and more brown. He looked like a cowpat. As soon as Joseph's birthday party started, he was at it again. I had another dream last night, guys, he said. It was a space dream. Who'd like to hear about it? Nobody, chorused his brothers. Just shut up and eat your jelly. Oh, come on, guys, went Joseph. This was really interesting. I dreamt I was the planet Earth, right? And all you lot were Saturn and Mars and Jupiter and stuff. And all your planets sprouted these little arms and legs, right? And you all waddled over to my planet and started bowing down in front of it. It was incredibly funny. Here am I'm the Earth, right? And there's you lot, all fat and wobbly, going, Master, Master. What a hoot, eh? Simeon had to be physically restrained from punching his brother up the throat, and Dan started making a clay model of him just for the pleasure of breaking its head off. Right, said Joseph. Now who'd like to know what it means? At that moment, Joseph would probably have been killed, but his dad came in with the birthday cake, so they all sang happy birthday instead. The next day, the 10 other brothers were out in the hills looking after the sheep. That little twerp, said Issachar. I'm going to dig a big pit and I'm going to fill it with scorpions and snakes and those horrible little poisonous wiggly things that crawl up your trouser legs. And I'm going to tie him to a rope and I'm going to lower him over the poisonous wiggly things till his face is about 2 inches from them. And then I'm going to make him promise on pain of death never ever to tell us one of his stupid dreams ever again. And when he's promised, added Simeon, I'll cut the rope. Cooey, guys! Guess who was waving from the top of the hill? Little old General Joseph. Great news, guys, he called. I've had another dream. I'm coming right down. I've got a spade, said Dan. Yeah, and I've got a pickaxe, said Asher. Come on, let's get digging. But Reuben, who was a bit nicer and a bit more sensible than the other brothers, said, just a minute, guys, listen, look, we don't really want to kill him, do we? Don't we? Said Issachar. No, look, I'll tell you what, we'll dig the pit, right, and we'll chuck him in it, and we'll cover it with branches, and then we'll pretend to go away, and we won't come back till he begs for mercy. That'll teach him, eh? Yeah, said Simeon. Good idea. You go and get the branches, all right? And off Reuben went. A few minutes later, Joseph arrived. This is it, right, guys, he said. I dreamt that you were all little bowls of jelly, all floppy and wobbly and runny, right? And I was this beautiful, great birthday cake, and your bowls of jelly. But he never had time to tell them what happened to their bowls of jelly. They ripped off his uniform, gagged him, tied him up, and threw him into the freshly dug pit. Then they picked up big rocks and were just about to stone him to death when... "Hi, fellas," said a voice. "What are you doing with all them heavy stones?" It was an Egyptian camel driver with 14 camels and a long line of half-starved slaves. "Oh, exercises," said Levi. "With boulders, you know, boulder exercises. Make you really muscly." "I don't need to be muscly," said the camel driver. "My slaves do all the heavy work." And off he went. "That's it," said Judah. "We won't kill him. We'll sell him to a slave driver. Make some money." 10 minutes later, Reuben was back with the branches. "Here you are, lads," he said. "Hang on a minute. Where's Joseph?" "Oh, he's gone," said Simeon. "Gone? Where?" To Egypt. We sold him to a slave driver. We thought it was the best thing, really." "The best thing? Are you crazy? What are we going to tell Father?" "Oh, we didn't think of that," said Simeon. "We could say," suggested Zebulon, "that he fell off a cliff and died of internal injuries. That'd be stupid. Where's the body?" "Oh, we could... I'll tell you what you're going to do," said Reuben. "Find a goat, a sharp knife, and Joseph's stupid jacket, and then do exactly what I say, all right?" When they got back, Jacob was playing pat a cake with baby Benjamin. "You've been gone a long time, boys," he said. "Where's Joseph?" Don't know, murmured the brothers. "Oh, no," said Reuben. "I've just had this terrible thought. We found this in the desert. I don't suppose it could have anything to do with Joseph, do you?" And he lifted up the camouflage jacket, all ripped and torn and covered in blood. "Wouldn't it be terrible," he said, "if Joseph had been eaten by wolves?" "Oh, yes, ghastly," chorused the brothers. Jacob let out a terrible cry and clutched the jacket to his heart. "My darling son," he cried, "the one we waited for all these years. First I lose my darling Rachel, now I lose my darling son. I'm so alone." And he plunged into a deep, dark, black despair, and he didn't smile again for 20 years.